Hey folks, it's been a while, but welcome back to Let's Play Sorcerian. Today's adventure is the Tower of Thieves. This will be the final adventure in Scenario 1, and it is pretty light on incidental combat, so much so that I don't even bring up the status window for this one. It does have a couple bosses, and it's got a lot of involved puzzle solving, I guess you would say. The first mystery we encounter is this locked door. It looks like a ball is involved, like the stolen scepter. It may be a blue ball, or it may be a ball of a different color. I'm definitely glad I learned a little more about video editing, because if you thought following the stolen scepter with a couple cuts was bad, this would be a nightmare. Here's your basic wine waterfall, and we don't have anything to put it in yet, so we'll have to come back. Anyway, what's actually going on here? This castle we're in is the base of a group of thieves called the Blue Wind, beating up some of their members now. But these guys have kidnapped Princess Zenobia from the neighboring country of Karun, who came to the Pentower region to kill a dragon under this castle. You may notice I went ahead and got some new spells, even though I said I wouldn't, but I just wanted to see what I could get with one step of enchanting. But the yellow stars moving out to both sides is the poison spell, and the sort of homing magic missiles is death sound, which I got by accident. I still don't really understand the whole enchanting process and how gods interact fully. Having grabbed the jug from the chapel here, we can go back and get some wine now. It's kind of a weird piece of design that you find the wine before the jug, and you find them both before you even know what you're supposed to do with them. Of course, the actual process of using the wine is going to turn out to be a whole other ball of wax, but that's Sorcerian for you. This is definitely the most involved adventure yet. Even knowing more or less exactly what I was supposed to do, before editing this run was 41 minutes, and my test run was closer to an hour. It's fitting for something that's sort of a finale, but it's weird that the map is so big, and there's only two basic types of enemies, and you barely ever see them. It gives the adventure kind of a lonely feeling, which in certain parts work, like the tower here, but in other parts, it could have used a little more variety. This fella has no name, even in Japanese. He's just known as the Keeper of the Key. So it should be obvious that the purpose of the wine is to get this guy drunk so we can take the key. But again, it's a case of finding the key before we know what door it even goes to. To tell the truth, I'm not really sure which door it even goes to, because it doesn't say you've used the key when you open the particular door. I always just get it first. Before we move on in the map, I'm gonna go ahead and rush back to the wine and finish this little side quest. Personally, I'd prefer an ale waterfall or a nice lambic, but I guess when I have my own tower, then I can make that choice. He needs more wine. He needs 3 jugs of wine. You know, it's like, we get it. We've proven to you, Falcom, that we can do this. It's not dangerous. It's just dumb. Thankfully, though, it doesn't reflect negatively on our karma that we're just fragrantly betraying this dude's trust. Sawing logs. You know, I've been neglecting to mention that Sorcerian had its 25th anniversary last year, and I don't think Falcom really did anything for it, which obviously makes me sad. Man, this dude has a lot to say. Anyway, a couple things about that conversation. As cool as it is to have an NPC named Zorak, his full name in Japanese is Zork Emil. And I have no idea where they got Garok from, because the name of the leader of the Thieves is Cameron Richard. If they were going to change it, they should have just gone with a Moltar. The obstinate elevator keeper here, his full name is Orem Lars, so they didn't screw that one up. Before we go back and say, what the hell, Zorak, I'll show off this passage that we need a pass to get through. Some of my own Sorcerian memories. Like I said in the prologue video, I picked the game up from the bargain bin in KB Toys when I was probably 12. I'll let Zorak say his piece. I don't remember where I had heard about it. I thought that it was in Dragon Magazine, but I spent some time looking into that, and Dragon Magazine never reviewed it. They just mentioned in text that it was coming out. And something interesting about that is they actually said that Sierra was releasing Commodore and Apple, and maybe some other version too, which never happened, obviously. Incidentally, it might be possible to do a little sequence break here if you have a fly potion, but it takes one of every herb to make that, and I haven't had a hyssop until this adventure. But anyway, I'm pretty sure I had read some kind of review of Sorcerian, so I knew a little bit more than what the box let on, because it looks pretty Western, even though it says all over it, Japan's #1 PC game. I was pretty into Japanese stuff then, and Japanese art, which I didn't really know to call anime. I used to just say Robotech-ish, because that was the frame of reference that I had. This room may be the one you need the key to get in, and I'm showing off here that you can only take one of these balls at a time. So with the red ball in hand, we're going to head back to that first gate we ran across. I used to take the Sorcerian manual to middle school and read it, usually over lunch. I was obsessed with that damn thing. I've always loved it. That's why I'm putting so much content from it in the thread. I think it's great. This is Baron Parsifal, and I'll let him tell his sad story. The color coding on the text janks up here, and it's not the only time this happens in this adventure. There's also some really weird page breaks. There's nothing we can do for him. Rest in peace, Baron. Anyway, as far as playing the actual game, I remember messing around in every scenario quite a bit, and one or two of them I even finished. Actually, I think in this LP I've already broken my personal record. As obtuse as some of the stuff in this game is, you know, back then, all you could really do if you got stuck is go into the games chat room on AOL and ask PCC Brig or whoever about what you're supposed to do, and chances are they didn't know. Who the hell has ever played Sorcerian? Why don't you play a nice Ultimate game? Although I did that too. With the blue ball though, we're gonna make use of the elevator and head up and explore the upper part of the tower. Kuore's last name is Koa, and you have to talk to her a couple times to get everything out of her. So Zorak seems like a different person, huh? And keep that in the back of our heads. If it seems like there's any doors or passageways that I ignore, and there definitely are, it's because they're just empty dead ends. There's also one-way door in kind of a unintuitive place. The two pots down here have 3 random herbs in them, and it's where I find my first hyssop, which seems to be the rarest herb, and it's in most of the potions that do anything that sounds interesting. So I should be able to show off some more potions in the next scenario, because Shaggy will be sticking around. This is the PSG version of the song from the X1 computer, and it has a little bit of a different sound. Haven't used X1 yet. I don't think you see this sleepy fella's name in the English version of the game, but according to Sorcerian Data Room, his name is Trumer, although the katakana looks more like tumor to me. This is a record number of NPCs, but I think we'll break it in a couple updates. The blue ball will get us into the chamber where the princess is being held. There is one other ball door, but it's a complete red herring with nothing in it. Go figure. Weird dialogue repetition here. That was sick. You meddling Sorcerians. That is Cameron Richard, or Garrick as it were, and he's dumping us down to the dungeon now. Long fall, you don't have any horizontal control here. Luckily it's a splashdown, and only about half of the water down here damages you, kinda arbitrarily screen by screen. Like the tower above, this has a pretty maze-like layout, but it feels different moving around, which is nice for a change. I can't really put my finger on why, but the MIDI music down here, I really like it. Something about it gives me a nostalgic feeling, like it reminds me of something else. I don't know. I want to say Jones in the Fast Lane, but maybe that's just because it's another Sierra game. But if these are Zorak's bones, then... Well, anyhow, if you search thoroughly, you get the mark. And I can't tell you what it exactly does, but you do definitely need to get it, or you're gonna be in for a big pain in the ass later. From where the sun sets, 1 land, 3 skies, and we have these 2 switches that can go up or down. So let's just put them up for now. What the heck? Well, I just looked up Jones in the Fast Lane, and sure enough, Ken Allen did do the music for that, and he was one of the 2 composers for this. It's like a totally different kind of music, though. That game... whatever. You know, even compared to the tower, there's a ton of dead air down here, and they really should have just put some enemies in these caves, really. Of course, we haven't run into the Gars underwater yet, but they're nothing to write home about. But what about that dragon the princess was after? Oh. This is the Shadow Dragon, and he's no big deal at all. Yep. Moving right along, we find some more switches. And if you hadn't figured it out yet, from where the sun sets means the west, and 1 land, 3 skies means 1 down, 3 up. So, without necessarily any confirmation, let's head back to that underwater passage. Because we know in our hearts that we're right. And I'm just shooting right past some Gars here. This is the switch we need to hit to get access back to the castle, but, you know, again, I don't really know exactly which passage it opens up. Some pointless trivia. Every single time you go back through the skeleton room, it triggers the whole carvings on the wall cutscene again. Cutscene? You know what I mean. But I cut it out every time after the first. Blonde Robin mentioned that he really likes Tower of Thieves, so if you're listening, you know, I don't hate it by any means, but feel free to post why. Who took my pass? I'll find my pass. So that old guy was Toad Fognan, and I guess he just lives down here and collects passes. Maybe he eats them. But for the time being, we are out of the underworld. So I guess we were swimming in wine that whole time? Or there's like a Jesus thing going on? I don't know. Maybe the key dude just has the constitution of a high school girl. At this point, though, Garrick said he was going to marry the princess, so we ought to head back up to the chapel. If you notice, though, Zorak, or the man calling himself Zorak, was not in his room, so things are fishy. First, though, we ought to talk to Kaore, since she seems like she's eager to help us. Maybe she'll have another pass for us. You never know when we'll need it. We'll need it, actually. Damn it, lady. Just messing around here, but you see it's got the whole Dragon Quest but thou must thing in place. It's a little weird they even give you the choice. I think it's interesting that with the exception of like one or two people, everybody just got lost in Sorcerian, and I would have assumed it was just me, because I used to just get lost in games all the time. Like, I put hundreds and hundreds of hours, well, maybe not hundreds and hundreds, a ton of hours into, like, Serpent Isle, Ultimate 6, Goonies 2, and I never got anywhere, I never finished it. But, Sorcerian is Sorcerian. This is the best part. I realize I called her Princess Zenobia earlier, but her Japanese name is Seina Zenobia, not Zaina. That's my story. This guy is really crazy. Like, kidnap a princess? Oh, her. Right. She got in my way. We don't really have a clue where to go right now, so we'll go to the one place we haven't been, the roof of the tower. I know that looked like a bad cut, but this is just where you end up if you ride the elevator all the way up. Even if you come up here when the roof is empty, it's got its own unique music, just for this one screen, which is pretty cool. This is the major demon. We can't actually hurt him right now, and unless you look real closely and notice that he's not blinking when you're hitting him, you might not realize it. You know, it's not like there was a NPC on the screen who could have told us that he was invulnerable right now or anything. Princess. Once we get down off the roof, we better go ask around, see what Kawari has to say. This is another adventure where I think the PC-98 music is exceptionally good. Like, I guess you'd call it the bass in this part coming up, I think is real nice, real catchy. But be careful! So, we learned about how to beat a dragon. Not sure that's what we needed. Let's continue to ask around. You know who might know? Tumor. So, okay, I mentioned earlier about the mark, and this is where you need it. You can get to this point in the story without it, but I think you need it to open this wall behind Tumor. More importantly, all signs are pointing to the Garroteen being on Zorak's skeleton in the dungeon, and that is where it is, but if you didn't get the mark and you go back down to the dungeon, all you're going to find on the skeleton is the mark, so then you have to come all the way back up and go all the way back down to make the Garroteen spawn, I guess. And this whole boondoggle did happen to me on my test run, so it's not fun. Toad definitely not happy to see us again, but he doesn't take our pass this time. For this last fast forward up through the tower, I used the PC speaker music. I had to get it in there somewhere. Orem is not too confident in us. I go ahead and equip an extra heal, and I don't think it'll help, but I use the Ice Wall spell. Time for the true battle with Major Demon. Basically what he does is fly around at the top of the screen and shoot these little homing Gradius shields at you. In spite of being an absolute bastard to hit, he doesn't dish out a lot of damage, so it's not a terribly challenging fight, just take some patience. Kind of partway through the fight, I got the idea that maybe he is more likely to dive on you if you're not jumping, so I try to stay on the ground a little more. So if it works how I'm assuming it does, this would make 2 good uses for the flight potion in one adventure. Yeah, this is dragging on, but I'm doing my best. Maybe when you do a Sorcerian Let's Play, you can beat Major Demon faster. Yeah, probably not, though, Kaijin. Whoa, there it is. So this will be the last act of the first party, unless there's significant fan demand for bringing them back. But since Shaggy will be staying on, there's room for 3 new characters, and no class restrictions this time, so anything you want to see, you know, if you want to see less than 4 characters, that's cool. Just rock the vote. This ending song is called Beautiful Day, and it's present in the original version of Sorcerian, but the Americans totally recomposed it into this crazy jazz thing, and I love it. So I let it play out to what I believe is the official full-color art for Tower of Thieves. But anyway, I want to thank everybody who's watched Scenario 1, and I'll see y'all in Scenario 2 after we get the new characters. And I hope you have a beautiful day too. See you next time.